Aye. Yes, you do. Aye.
within the city manager's spending authority to contract the demolition of the dangerous buildings at 737 and 765 North Broadway.
So we have no idea what the cost is at this time?
Staff is working to get bids on that, but we expect that to be below my spending authority.
Okay. And I also understand, and Arnie and Arlene, you're both here. If you want to make a comment, since you're the ones that are being affected by this, you're more than welcome to. But I understand that for them to be able to do any work on the hillside to stabilize it, these two homes need to be gone. Is that correct?
And that's my understanding.
Okay. Did you want to make any comments? Please.
Well, is it on? Can you hear me? Okay. This began clear back last December 14th when the big structures that were part of the retaining wall fell and hit one of the buildings 1.5 feet off its foundation. But since then, we've been watching the erosion. We've been watching for erosion. We've been told that our property is stable now, but we don't know what will happen when the rains come. And I was really concerned when I heard the news tonight that the rains are coming, like Friday. Anyway, so it's been a really nervous thing for us. And it will be much harder for the engineering company to get in and fix the hillside if they can't. We don't know how easily it is for them to get past those homes. And so if those are taken down, the whole process will be a lot easier and quicker and less expensive. So, thank you.
You bet.
We have been, and our attorney has been in contact with the owner of the property, and so we have a letter that gives us permission to get on the property for the engineers to do the structural work that they need to do. And we're supposed to have a bid back in the next week or so regarding what it would take to secure it, and there are a number of options, some of which include doing it from up above, which would be very expensive, much easier if you could do it from down below, and many more options are available about how to stabilize the bank. So we look forward to having the opportunity to work with our engineers and others. Thanks.
You bet. I'm so sorry that you have to even go through this and this has happened. This is the last thing we'd
So
like to
are
see.
we, but thank you.
I know.
So did you, was it noticeable destabilization besides the big blocks falling that you talked about?
So
Yeah, yes.
when the big blocks fell, about 10 feet of the bank went with it. So it blew out. There was a big rainstorm. They had put the blocks that were about 4 high. When the bank destabilized because of the water and it was being held back by these blocks, so eventually the weight got too much and it blew them over, and they went forward, and it took about 10 feet of the bank. So we lost 10 foot of what was in front of us, where the previous retaining wall had held it back.
Mhm. And actually, there was quite a stream of water that came in front of that and ran down the street. And, he brought a bulldozer in to make a trench, and the water ran for a very long time.
All right.
Do we have any idea if this is approved, how long it will take?
I think staff has every expectation as soon as we can get a bid, we're gonna put someone right to work.
So, but I read in here that there's a 60-day appeal period. Does that affect it?
It is it'll be a post-abatement appeal. So the most that probably could be occur from that is that the city won't be able to lien the property. But I believe the hearings officer recognized the dangerous conditions, and that's why the hearings officer gave us a decision that day.
Okay.
And if I may, there may not be a hearing because the claimant, Mr. Newsom, has the ability to request a hearing, but my anticipation based upon his activities or lack thereof is he's not going to request a hearing. And then we will lien the property after we incur the expenses, and whether we do anything is kind of up to you at that point.
I just hope they can get it stabilized for themselves.
We may not want that property.
Right. No, we don't.
Off the top of my head, trying to picture the spot, if that section were to give out, that would pretty well take out southbound 101 as well, wouldn't it? So, a couple of
And-
things at stake.
And Second Street.
Yeah.
So it's a rush to get it done before the weather, and so you feel confident that if we approve this resolution tonight, we can probably have that done in the next 30 to 60 days?
We're going to do everything within our power. Obviously, we don't control the contractors,
Right.
but we'll do everything in our power to move it along as quickly
Are
as
we able to
possible.
nudge ODOT since it affects their property as well? Was where I was headed.
Unknown.
All right, council, we have a resolution before us. How would you like to proceed?
I'll move to approve Resolution 22-28, authorizing the city manager to expend the rainy day funds within the city manager spending authority to contract the demolition of dangerous buildings at 737 and 765 North Broadway.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to adopt the adoption of Resolution 22-28. Any more discussion on this topic? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. Thank you. Okay, that's the end of the agenda items this evening, and so we have the city manager's report. Roger?
Yes, and Assistant City Manager Nicole Rutherford will be providing you an update on council chambers.
Hey, Nicole?
Thank you for the opportunity to share where we're kind of at. Of course, tonight, we had a little bit of challenge with sound going to YouTube. From what we have learned tonight, it looks like we need to reinforce to folks who access this computer back here that we can't make changes to that as staff, that needs to be an IT level changes. We will definitely talk about that tomorrow at department head meeting so we can make sure that doesn't occur again. We have our IT team on notice for any meetings that are in this room that they are to be here to support. So we'll make sure that staff are aware of that. So just to kind of bring us back into just a quick update of what we're kind of working on here. We have several platforms in play in order to deliver these meetings, both for council members such as Councilor Matthews to attend remotely, and also for the public. We are now tasked with making that accessible to the public. So we did have a couple folks on tonight. That's the first time we've seen that in a bit. But so we're using the platform Microsoft Teams to deliver that remote attendance. That's one element that we are working with. That's a platform that we use here within the city. So we use that here internally, also with consultants and things that we do our jobs with regularly. We also use a platform, a couple of different things with Granicus, who's a provider of services for Peak. They're currently our Novus agenda provider, so you see that when you're looking at your agendas. We also use that for preparation of minutes. That platform is not going to be supported any longer, so we're transitioning to Peak. There are some other examples. The City of Newport is using that. It provides us to run the video at the same time with the agenda. So if you're watching from our website, you'd be able to see we're going to time date stamp those agenda items. You'll be able to go right to the point in the video to watch that specific feed if you have interest in that. Once we get transitioned, it'll be a pretty nifty little feature. That requires a specialized piece of hardware that sits in the server room. It's called the Clarecaster. So another piece of this puzzle is that equipment there. We had a little bit of struggles initially getting both the video and sound to feed to that system and then out to the internet, thus to YouTube. We've got that resolved now as well. And then of course YouTube, that's the platform we've chosen to stream these meetings to the public. And we've had a little bit of issues here and there with YouTube as far as that stream staying solid and picking it up throughout the whole meeting time. That's outside of our control as YouTube is maybe more popular and being used more, that the bandwidth is a challenge. But we've been recently not having problems with that. And then last but not least is our sound system within this space. And the system that we have in place is obviously a little bit aged. Was installed in a time when we did things a little bit differently, and so was functional for this period. We are looking at working with a couple of different vendors now, one in Florence, one in Eugene. We will be meeting with both of them over the next couple weeks to take a tour of the facilities, what we have here, what we need. Specifically looking at microphones, we have directional mics, so as you note, when I speak here versus when I speak over here, there's a difference in that. We can do better with that. We also know that there's hearing challenges out in this public space, so we'll be working on the sound as it projects out into the space. And obviously something at the podium, giving us some capacity to change configuration. Say, you know, we do the budget meetings and we have those tables here, you know, giving us some better options there. And then the last thing that we would like to look at, which we've had historically, we just don't currently, is devices for those who may be hearing impaired in the audience. There's technology now, which we didn't have before, that you can actually connect with your phone, which can connect to your own hearing device. So in this time and age where we don't want to pass around things that people have touched, that's a better solution. So we are working on it. I know it's a super slow process and very frustrating. Believe me, I've had my share of frustrations with these challenges. I'm really hopeful. We're right there on that edge. So we've got a couple vendors we're working with and hope to hear something soon to report back with you guys. I don't know if anybody has questions.
I just appreciate the update, Nicole. You and I have had many a conversation about this, and I will still, you've heard me say this before, the meetings platform, I'm not saying it right because I don't like it, the teen platform, not my favorite. I hope at some point we go to Zoom, but after the conversation we had, I completely understand that you're making so many changes that to try to go to Zoom at this point would be challenging. So I just thank you for your due diligence on the sound system and your due diligence on YouTube, your due diligence on making sure that the IT works, because that's a contract and we pay for that, and your due diligence with just making sure that these meetings are readily available. People can hear online as well as in council chambers. So thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, was there anything else, Nicole?
That was it.
All right, well,
Yeah.
no, I appreciate it. Thank you. Roger, anything else?
Well, I would just share that the hard work of this council is not going unnoticed, not in the community, and certainly not with our peers around the state. And I guess where I'm going with that, your work is so noticed that it's causing us as staff a lot more work. We're getting called upon to go out and give presentations on what are you doing and how's it working, and maybe how can someone else replicate that. I know that there was a presentation just today to talk about homelessness and what's happening in our community with Rotary. Monday, I'll be out of town, actually the first 2 days, and I'll be at a Brownfield conference to talk about what's the city doing in relation to brownfields. And you have 4 projects. You have Englewood School, which will become low-income housing. That property is now cleaned up. You have an 80-year-old scrapyard that still needs to be mitigated, but will serve as a much-needed parking lot on Front Street. You have Coos Bay Village, which was a former mill site, former log yard, former shipping, and boy, has that transitioned. And of course, probably your first one is now the home of Coos History Museum. So there's lots to celebrate, lots to share, as well as not only successes, but the challenges and how long it actually takes to accomplish those projects. From there, we have 3 or 4 more presentations this year to give, including at the Economic Outlet Forum on housing, the Housing Summit. I believe we're doing one for Coos Leadership. I guess if anything, you could slow down a little bit. We can have a few less presentations, but it's actually a good thing. So that's all I have tonight.
Thank you, Roger. Nice presentation. Comment. Council comments. Carmen, we'll start with you.
Hey everyone. Sorry I'm not attending in person once again tonight. I have my daughter, so I'm hanging out with her here tonight. But just wanted to say that I'm really excited that Coos Bay has named the Heritage Month for November. I think this is a wonderful step, and I'm really excited to attend the flag ceremony next Friday. It's something that I really want to focus on our relationship with our local tribal members and organizations in as many ways as possible. And I think this is a good step, and I look forward to a future with a lot more collaboration. Other than that, glad to see something happening with those two properties on Broadway. That's something I think about every day as I drive by them. What's happening with those. I appreciate and thank everybody who's working on that to push that forward and find solutions that results in the greatest public safety. And other than that, I think that's all I have in front of me at the moment. Thank you.
Thanks, Carmen. Drew?
We had a pretty good success on the mental health side, I found out about last week. Because of everything that's gone on, we've been pushing. Also, Portland has been pushing. Oregon's Supreme Court Chief Justice Walters has called for a work group on civil commitments. So those are the ones where the person's not able to care for themselves in public. They haven't committed a crime, but these are the cases we've talked about where the individual can't be held to be stabilized so they can render informed consent on their care. So that work group has been formed. The League of Oregon Cities reached out to me to see if I would be willing to be on it. So there will be 2 cities present for those work groups in addition to everybody else. There will be Portland and there will be ourselves. So we get to be on a slightly bigger stage than normal. And for Tom's information on my mustache, I did try and grow one in high school. It was so imperceptible, we called it my pseudo-stash because it only existed in theory. Yeah, that's all I got.
Thank you, Drew. Glad to hear that you're going to be involved in that. I know that you were also involved in the Rotary presentation, which I understand was very well received by Stephanie and Nicole. Were also
We got asked to do another one right after that, so we feel Roger's pain.
Okay, well, good. Well, it's good pain, and I'm glad you're able to tell the story and get involved. And so, thank you. Anyway, Lucinda.
I just wanted to kind of tag on what Roger had to say. We hosted the Oregon Economic Development Association conference last week at the Mill, and I had some representatives from Travel Oregon here. There was a port commissioner, or excuse me, there was the executive director of the port, I don't remember his name, here from the late 1980s, early 1990s. And he was just, and everyone was really talking about just how remarkably different this community looks. Not just our community, but the city of North Bend as well. And Roger, I think, always reminds us that it does take a long time for these projects to come to fruition, and so I'm just really excited with the work that previous councils have done and our commitment, especially along Front Street, to make sure that we're trying to move that along as quickly as possible. And then I also wanted to just say again how incredibly proud I am of the city for the 3rd year in a row acknowledging Native American Heritage Month, the fact that the city will be putting up the tribes of the 3 federally recognized tribes, acknowledging that we are in their ancestral homelands, and recognizing the contribution that each of the tribes make, not only to their communities, but to the community at large. We are so incredibly fortunate to be in a community that has 2 recognized tribes right in our backyard and the contribution they make. So I just wanted to thank this council for the work that they've done in that space.
Thank you. At OTA, the Economic Forum, I understand that Jennifer Groth was there, so it was nice that some of you were able to visit with her. And I heard that she's doing well, which is great. Rob?
First, I want to announce that the Coos County Friends of Public Health are having their Purses for Nurses Fall Fundraiser. It's Saturday, October 22nd, 11:30 to 1:30. It's a silent auction and lunch at the Black Market Gourmet. And tickets are $40 and can be purchased online at www.ccfoph.org. And then secondly, we just had the Coos Bay Library Board meeting just prior to this meeting. And so I wanted to give you an update on the September report. The library had 6,177 total monthly visits. They had 17,890 items checked out. Of those, only 447 of them were digital downloads. And they also had 34 programs with a program attendance of 873. And one of those programs is coming up also Saturday, October 22nd. It's from 2 to 3, and it's a partnership with the Boys and Girls Club Pacific School of Dance, and it's a Hispanic folk dance class. It'll be 2 to 3 at the Boys and Girls Club Pacific School of Dance, just on the corner over there. And I think, how do they register?
They can just call the library or go online to our website.
Okay. Did everybody get that? You can call the library or go online, the library website. And that's all I have.
So are you going to register?
If you will.
You don't want to see me dancing. All right, Stephanie.
Just a couple of things. Since we were just talking about the library, I was happy to stop by the library and then get stuck in the parking lot because I couldn't get my car started for about 30 minutes and watch all of the activity on Friday of last week. Just going inside, the place was bustling. They were giving out pumpkins that could be painted by kids and all the supplies, and then they're doing a little contest with that, you know, taking a photo. And so it's nice to see all age groups, honestly, that were represented at that library. Very young. I saw teenagers there. I saw teenagers coming out with pumpkins, but not just going in, getting a pumpkin and coming out, but actually looking around. So they are used. And it was incredibly satisfying to watch all of that activity happening. Just another reminder for events coming up, the Coos Bay Downtown Association will be doing the downtown trick-or-treat coming up. You've probably seen the orange posters in windows of businesses, and that will happen, I believe, on the 31st, which is Monday, and that will happen from 3 to 5 p.m. And that's all I had.
All right, thank you.
Mayor, I forgot to mention something. The Hispanic folk dance class is for ages 6 to 18, so neither one of us qualified.
All right. Thanks, Sammy. All right, anyway, I just want to say that I was fortunate enough to make a presentation with Mayor Engelke at the Oregon Economic Development Association. And, you know, to chime in with what everyone else is talking about, it was amazing how much we've accomplished, and you put it down and start talking about it. So I'm proud to be part of it, and it's exciting that we're going to be moving forward on a lot of other projects. As James has mentioned when he came up with a public comment, you know, we might need 2 gyms, maybe we need 3, but we're doing, I think, exceptionally well with what we have, and we'll keep moving forward. And I don't think we're going to slow down, Roger. So anyway, in fact, I think goal setting session's coming up, and we're going to list the goals and all those type of things. But I want to thank the staff. Without the staff, none of this would happen. So the council, thank you, and I thank the staff. And so now I want to bring up a topic, the council flag policy. We did a 90-day moratorium, and that time frame's coming up. So on July 5th, 2022, the council approved a 90-day moratorium on the council flag policy. The 90-day period has elapsed, and at that time, we don't have any additional ceremonial flags to request to be considered. So I would like to propose a 60-day extension to the moratorium to allow time when the entire council can be present to consider if the policy should be amended or repealed. And part of the extension is my fault. I have someone I'm dealing with that's going through some treatment and surgery, and so November's going to be very trying for me to even be here. So I'm hoping that you will agree to a 60-day extension on the flag policy. And if so, I would need a motion to do so, and a second, and or discussion about it.
I'll move that we extend the moratorium on the flag policy by another 60 days.
Second?
Any other comments, anyone? Okay, so there's been a motion and a second to extend the flag policy by 60 days. Hearing no more comments on it, I'll call for the question. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. Thank you, I appreciate it. I just definitely hope I will be here to make sure that we go and have everyone gets to get involved in the discussion. It's an important topic, and so thank you. And those are the end of my comments, and I want to thank everyone for attending. It's always nice to see everyone here. So thank you so much. All right. And the meeting's adjourned.
Wow,
And there's no
Mr. Mayor.